A famine has arose in this text in a family who is headed by Elimelech, and they leave Bethlehem, the house of bread, because of the severity of the famine, and they go to Moab. Everybody's running for their lives, They go into Moab for survival's sake, thinking that they were going to be there a short time, end up being there 10 years. Elimelech is strong enough to get Naomi out of there with their 2 sons and get them out of Bethlehem to Moab, but he dies in Moab. And now Naomi is widowed, surviving a famine, raising 2 sons in a foreign country, unable to get back home because of the famine, trying to survive against adversity, and then she loses her 2 sons. 2 sons. Now the woman has had a dead husband and now lost 2 sons. The husband you might could tolerate, you might could say, well, he was up in years, he was up in age, it makes sense. But to lose 2 sons, in the space of 10 years, she has lost every man she has ever loved. Exasperated and frustrated, she makes up in her mind, this is enough for me. We're coming to the end of the famine. I want to go back home. There is nothing left for me. She makes a statement. She says, I went out full and I came back empty. In other words, there was a famine, but I was still blessed. It's amazing because sometimes you cannot know you're blessed because you're going through a famine, only to find out that the thing that you were worried about is not nearly as significant as the thing that you had. In the midst of her famine, she still had her husband and her children. Sometimes you can have something and not appreciate it until you lose it. After that, she lost her husband and her children. The famine seemed insignificant by comparison. I say that because sometimes you're whining about things that really don't matter. You're upset about things that really don't make any difference in your life. And if you were smart, you would learn how to count your blessings and to thank God for what he's done in your life. It looked like all hell had broken loose in her life. The famine, who would have thought that a famine would come and disrupt this relatively wealthy family and cause them to flee like vagrants and move into Moab and uproot all of their heritage and leave their home and their surrounding and their friends and find themselves in Moab? Who would have thought that having gone to Moab, that she would lose the husband she was relying on to be her sustenance, her source, her friend, and her support? He died and left her there. Who would have thought that having lost her husband, she goes to rely on her sons, and both, not one, but both sons die? Who would have thought that this woman would end up in a female feminine trinity of 3 women whose only thing that they now share in common is that all of them have gone through death? 3 women, Naomi, who is the older woman, and Ruth, who was her daughter-in-law, and Orpah, who was her other daughter-in-law. 3 women whose commonality was pain. Pain is a strange company keeper. It brings the oddest people together. There is a secret fraternity that exists amongst those who have been in pain that is mind-boggling. It transcends the color of your skin. It transcends your background. When you've been through certain things, you feel for other people who have been through those things because you relate to them. I personally don't like to have a whole lot to do with people who have not been through pain. It's nothing against them. I'm not jealous of them. I just can't relate to them. I can't relate to them, and I am sure that they will not be able to relate to me. The parts of me that I need to have known, that I need to have touched, that I need to have fellowship are tied up not in the successes of my life, but in the struggles of my life. For God has done more through my struggles. He's done more through my struggles than he's ever done through my successes. And if you look carefully at my successes are made out of the ingredients of my struggles. And you can never know my successes until you understand my struggles, because my struggles are the pathway that led me into my success. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so if you're going to have fellowship with somebody, you have to choose your friends and make sure that they've had something to die in their life. If you've never had anything to die in your life, you have the kind of optimism that is annoying. If you've never had anything to go wrong in your life, I don't like to hear you preach. It aggravates me. It gets on my nerves because your preaching has not been balanced by failure. If you've never had anything to die in your life, don't counsel me because you really don't understand me. Because you don't know why I am like I am until you've been where I've been. If you've never had anything to die in your life, don't sit there and tell me be a man, take it, don't cry. You don't know what I'm taking. You don't know what I'm enduring. You don't understand. Just because you read some books and took a psych class doesn't mean that you're ready to deal with the issues of my life. There's something about going through death and loss and pain and misfortune and adversity. There's something about going through things that don't seem fair to you, that once you go through them, you need to make sense of the madness in your life. Since you can't change what happened and you can't alter what you've been through, at least you need to be able to think that there's some greater good that's going to come out of it. It's what they call bringing closure. To bring closure to it, to justify that I didn't go through this kind of pain for nothing. I need to be able to feel like something good is going to come out of this. If I can't do that, then I feel like I'm a victim, and I feel like I've been victimized, and I forever feel sorry for myself, and I'm not free to go on with my life, and I'm not safe to remarry again, and I'm not safe to get another job again, and I'm not safe in another church again because I have unresolved issues out of my past. And I'm not ready to go forward with my life because I'm still tied up with where I came from. I need to know if I'm going to continue to worship God, I need to know that some demon didn't get loose in my life and wreck my life. I need to know that all hell has not broken loose in my life, that Satan hasn't snatched the steering wheel from God and is driving my life to hell. I need to know that the demonic influences of my enemies have not taken over my life, even though I feel like my life has become a prey to Satanism, wickedness, and carnality. I need to know that God is not through working it out and that sooner or later he's going to do something in my life that makes sense. I need to know that nothing just happens. And so the women shared a tear together. They wept together. They cried together. They shared pain together. They shared burial together. They shared their losses together. They shared their emptiness together. And Naomi decided, this is it. Got to split. I'm going to quit. I'm going back home where I came from. Got to go. Can't take anymore. I'm going back home. I'm bitter, but I'm going back home bitter. I'm frustrated, but I'm going back home. And they fell on Naomi and began to weep because Naomi had left a significant impression on them. And all of a sudden, in the midst of this pain, Naomi starts reasoning with them. Stop crying. Stop crying. I have no options. What am I going to do? She said, if I married today and had more children, what are you going to do? Wait for the children to become grown that they might be your husbands again? She says, I'm out of the game. The clock is against me. Oh, I wish I had time. I wish I had time to talk about time. What do you do when the clock is against you and you have enough wisdom to do it over, but you don't have enough time to do it over? What do you do when you've missed your season and you've missed your window of opportunity? What do you do when you know that you've got the desire to do it and you've got the passion to do it, but you look in the mirror and the wrinkles in your face and the sagging of your body indicates you don't have time to do this all over again? She says, I don't have time to get pregnant again. I don't have a second chance at life. My life is over. Go away. Don't hang around me. I have nothing left to give. There are people that when you start running out of time, you get bitter, you get desperate, you start pushing people away from you because they're asking something of you that you don't think you can give anymore. And you find yourself in a place of depletion and it feels like God has forgotten you. But I remind you, nothing just happens. at this age, at this stage. There's a reason why it happened at this age. There's a reason why it happened at this level in life. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. God didn't fall asleep on the job and the devil came in and wrecked the car. No, God never sleeps and he never slumbers. He's in complete control, and he knows where you are, and he knows how old you are, and he knows how much time you spent, and he knows what happened to you, and he knows who walked out and left you, and he knows who betrayed you, and he knows who molested you, and he knows who raped you, and he knows who rejected you, and he knows where you are in life, and he knows about your bills, and he knows about your degree, and he knows you dropped out of school, and he knows about what you didn't get, and he knows about the health of your child, and he knows about the condition of your neighborhood. Understand that and tell yourself nothing just happens. And so Orpah walks away. She walks away. I may have to turn this into a series because I can't get out of this. Orpah walks away and she cries and she goes back. And there are people who can walk away from you. And hear me when I tell you this. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. I can sit down now. I preach. I can sit down. I don't need to make an altar call or nothing. I can sit. I don't have to hoop. I don't have to make you shout. I have just preached right now. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. I don't want you to try to talk another person into staying with you, loving you, calling you, caring about you, coming to see you, staying attached to you. I mean, hang up the phone. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. I don't care how wonderful they are. I don't care how attracted you are to them. I don't care what they did for you 20 years ago. I don't care what the situation is. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. Because your destiny is not tied to the person who left. You don't hear me? You don't want me this morning. You better leave me alone. You better run out of here. Don't let my voice fool you. Ain't nothing wrong with my head. Your destiny is never tied to anybody that left. The Bible said that they came out from us, that it might be made manifest that they were not of us. For had they been of us, no doubt they would have continued with us. People leave you because they're not joined to you. And if they're not joined to you, you get super glue and you can't make them stay. Let them go. And it doesn't mean that Orpah was a bad person. It just means that Orpah's part in the story is over. And you've got to know when people's part in your story is over so that you don't keep trying to raise the dead. You got to know when it's dead, David. When your boy is dead, wash your face and have another baby. You got to know when it's over. Oh, my God, my God, my God, my God. Look at somebody and say, nothing just happens. If they walked away, it's no accident. If they left you, it's no accident. If you tried to make it work and it wouldn't work, it's no accident. Accept it as the will of God. Clap your hands, wash your face, do your dance, and keep going. Oh, Chante, oh, baby, don't make me preach it. Let me tell you something. I got the gift of goodbye. I got the gift of goodbye. It's a 10th spiritual gift. I believe in goodbye. It's not that I'm hateful. It's that I'm faithful. And I know whatever God needs for me to have, he'll give it to me. And if it takes too much sweat, I don't need it. Stop begging people to stay. Let them go. This didn't just happen. There's a reason that I'm in this place. I'm so sick of talking to people who think that everything just happened. I guess I'll go to church. I guess I'll get saved. I guess I'll move to Chicago. I guess I'll move to Dallas. That's not how it is. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Your steps were ordered. If you hadn't got the phone call that you got when you got like you got it, you wouldn't even be here right now. If you hadn't have made the turn that you made yesterday, you wouldn't experience what you're experiencing today. God has been behind the curtain like a puppet master, pulling strings in your life. It's not that you're smart. It's not that you're great. It's not that you're holy. It's not that you're perfect. It's not that you're good. But God winded you up, pointed you in the right direction, released you into your destiny, and you are here and you can't get away. Slap somebody and tell them nothing just happens. Can I talk to you a few more minutes? This means that I'm up under the banner of his will. I'm up under the banner of his will. Even in the midst of death, I'm up under the banner of his will. Even in the midst of pain, I'm up under the banner of his will. Even in the midst of separation and disappointment, I'm up under the banner of his will. Can I take it to the next level? Jonah was sent to Nineveh, went to Tarshish, headed for Tarshish, not obeying God, got thrown off the boat into the belly of the fish, swallowed up for 3 days. Even though God told him to go to Nineveh and he didn't go, he was still in the will. I'm not sure you can handle this. He went the wrong way and he was still in the will. They threw him off the boat. He was still in the will. I'll prove to you he was in the will. It just happened to be a big fish. See, it just happened to be a big fish swimming beside the big boat, so that when men dumped him over, the fish just happened. This is too strong. You can't take this. The fish carried him down to the bottom of the mountains with seaweed wrapped around his neck. He's thousands of feet below sea level, and God sustained him. Sustained him not 1 day, not 2 days, not 4 days, but three days. Nothing just happens. On the third day, the backslidden, rebellious, reprobate, disconnected, disjointed preacher comes up out of the water. And thousands of years later, Christ says, even as Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days, so shall the Son of Man be in the grave. He had to get up when he got up, and he had to go down when he went down, because nothing just happens. Woo! Oh, God, your mistakes were in his will. Your trouble was in his will. Your pain was in his will. I don't care what you went through. David said, if I make my bed in hell, thou art there. If I take the wings of their morning and ascend to the uttermost parts of the earth, God is still there. He was with you in the middle of your trouble. He was with you in the middle of your pain. That's why Paul said, I've learned whatever state I'm in, therewith to be content. I know how to be rich. I know how to be poor. I know how to be free. I know how to be bound. You ought to shout, I don't care where you are, because nothing just happens. Whatever God has predetermined to happen, whatever God has predetermined to happen will come to pass. And no devil in hell has ever been able to abort the purpose of God, not once. And yes, God gave you a human will and you're a free moral agent, but if you think that your human will is strong enough to change his divine will, you are tripping. You are out of your mind. God is God. The reason we worship him as God is because he is the CEO. He is in charge. He runs the universe. And when God gets ready to make you, and when God gets ready to break you, and when God gets ready to take you, he's never been without the power to make you yield to his will. He's never, not one moment or time, not been able to orchestrate your affairs, and nothing in your life. Think about the most damnable thing that ever happened and shout nothing. Think about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about the most impoverished, financially depleting thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about the worst scandal that you ever went through in your life and shout nothing. Think about people who loved you and walked out and left you and shout nothing. Think about betrayal on the highest level of your life and shout nothing. Think about the struggle going on your job right now and shout nothing. Think about the attitude of your kinfolks and your family members and shout nothing. Think about how your boss is treating you on your job and shout nothing. Think about that disagreement between you and your children and shout nothing. Think about your past life of sin, your whoremongering, your inappropriateness, your attitude, your dysfunction, and shout nothing. Shout nothing. Let the devil hear you say nothing. That devil will think he won if you don't shout nothing. The devil will think he's in charge if you don't shout nothing. He'll think he's gonna win, but you gotta shout nothing. In the midst of hell and high water, shout nothing. In the midst of pain and despair, shout nothing. When your credit is denied, shout nothing. When you're evicted out of your house, shout nothing. When your boyfriend marries somebody else, shout nothing. Nothing. Oh, I gotta stop. If I don't stop right now, I won't be able to stop. Nothing. Nothing. No thing. No thing just happened. No thing in your life just happened. No thing in your life just happened. The devil didn't get loose in your life. He hasn't destroyed you. He hasn't wrecked you. Your life is not over. You're not too old. It's not too late. God knows about your limitations. For fear that I won't get to it before the story ends, God brings milk out of an old, withered, leathery breast. Ruth ultimately had her baby, but Naomi nursed it. An old woman past menopause is not supposed to be releasing milk. Milk is running out of her breast. When they came out, no shikade, he shadaba. When God gets ready to give you something, I don't care how late it looks. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if it has to break every biological rule you ever read. I don't care if nobody can ever explain it. God will take your withered, wrinkled nipple and cause milk to come gushing down. My God, do you hear what I'm preaching to you today? I feel a glory in this place. Some of you, just when the devil thought you would never do it again, God made milk gush out of your breast. I tell you, it's not over till God says it's over. Okoto shadabake, ekandoboko shadabakotodobo. Tell me this, what is she doing nursing a baby anyway? Even a young woman can't nurse a baby if she didn't have one. She didn't birth the baby, so her body's not even supposed to be making milk. And she's too old, even if she had birthed the baby. But God. That's why God doesn't want to hear your excuses, because your excuses for not doing his will are based on your understanding. But God's going to do some things in your life that you don't understand. So it makes your excuses foolishness, because you're making excuses based on what you've seen happen before. What you've seen happen before, but nothing just happens. God's going to do something. I got to quit. Oh, I can't do it. God's going to do something for somebody in this room that you have never seen happen before in your life. You've never seen him do it for anybody else. You've never heard about him doing it. You can't explain how he did it, but God's going to make it happen. Okay, I'm going to stop. Stand on your feet, please. Whew. I just want to tell you something. I want to tell, I know some of you, that when I have you stand, that's your cue to go, and you got to run out the door and all that, do whatever you got to do. But to those of you that sense God speaking, I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something specifically to you. I wish I could look every one of you right in the face, because I'm talking to you. Talking to you. I'm talking to you about the stuff that you can't talk to nobody about. I need to tell you. I got up to tell you. Nothing. None of it. None of it just happens. None of it. Not one bit of it just happened. He's up to something.